Anybody that doesn't know, Jeff's over here in Europe doing a promotional tour for his brand Hubboards, but he's also teamed up with Bodyboard Holidays to do a promotional weekend with us. Then he's moving on down to France to go to some bodyboard shops there, and then he's going to meet us in Portugal to do a bodyboard coaching camp there. So super stoked this has come together with the 3-time world champ, and we're very grateful to him for honouring us with his presence. So without further ado, we've got an epic Q&A ahead, so thanks to all the questions that you've put over to us. We've got 3-time world champ, multiple Pipeline winner, owner of Hubboards, move innovator, the first to land the air reverse, and he's the bodyboarder that I can safely say that most men and women in this room probably idolise from an early age. So without further ado, welcome, put your hands together, Jeff Hubbard. All right, welcome. Good. So this is good to smash on there? Nice. So we're trying to sort of achieve something tonight. We're trying to go live on YouTube. We're trying to go live on Instagram, and we're also trying to record it all. So yeah, there's a few technical little challenges ahead of us, but yeah, let's take a seat, Jeff. So, okay, so everybody ready and comfortable? Chris, Alex? Yeah? Good. Okay then, so yeah, first of all, welcome to Newquay. Thank you for showing up and doing what you did today. That was so cool to see.
Yeah, it was super fun. Oh shoot.
So oh yeah, are you on? Let's get it on. No worries. First technical challenge. Testing. You're in.
We're in. Yeah, and the weather was unreal today. It was a beautiful day.
And the waves were pumping, yeah?
Do we get to spit on some barrels?
Yeah, exactly.
In my mind, I did.
Okay, so today we went down and we surfed like waist high, maybe even thigh high or knee high fish drill. We knew it was going to be super small, but we wanted Jeff to go out and do a demonstration of what was possible in those waves. We've got some footage of it, and it's going to blow your mind when you see it. He was doing like snap reverses, multiple spin combos and rolls, and like we were struggling to catch waves. So it kind of brought it home to us what superhuman he is, and how very average we are at bodyboarding. So it's kind of inspired us all to kind of get out there and push the limits as much as we can in any surf. So on to the questions. So the obvious place to start, Jeff, would be to ask how you got into bodyboarding and your first memories of trying it. How did that all come about?
I think my first memories are just kind of going to the beach as a family. You know, everyone just goes down to the beach, and there's always going to be a boogie board around, and just, you know, riding waves with. And I remember coming home and just having just tons of rash on my tummy because the old boards would be cut up by cats or whatever, be scratched up on those decks, and just almost my tummy would be almost red from riding all day. And that's kind of my first memory. And then I later would just kind of remember like being with friends at the beach and them talking about barrels or, you know, something, and being a kid not knowing what those were. Like, what, did I get barreled? You got barreled? What is that? And they're like, oh yeah, you did. You got barreled, Jeff. Okay, sweet. I'm stoked.
Classic.
So, and then you kind of just evolve from there. And my friend group, my peer group was kind of always going to the beach, so I kind of started doing that, and they all were bodyboarding too. So I just naturally gravitated towards bodyboarding.
Good to hear. Well, we're happy that happened, so that you're here today. But further to that, could you tell us the highlights of your career so far?
Oh man, yeah.
Or maybe just like a timeline from when you were a Grom to now, but just saying the highlights, that would be really cool.
Okay, yeah, that's a good way, a little timeline. I think I didn't start entering contests till I was I think I started entering in high school, just one or two, just kind of getting my feet wet. And then more when I went to college and university, I started entering amateur contests full time. And you know, I think that first year I was you know, state champ and national champ, and then the year after again, you know, state and national champ. And so that kind of elevated me to, you know, start to pursue like getting a professional contract at that stage, which is like, you know, getting paid to bodyboard, which is unreal. And that I thought, this is unreal, you know. And so yeah, I took it, and probably because I had to, since my grades had suffered so much from bodyboarding. My parents weren't funding me anymore, so I had to fund myself. And then after that, I think I had already won like a pro contest at that stage. One of my first pro contests at VLAND, we had a contest. I beat Kino McGee and yeah, won like $1,000 and pumping VLAND and
Brilliant.
Beat Kino. And you know, I was an amateur at that time, and I remember winning that contest, and that was pretty cool, winning money.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, this is rad. You know, I got money for bodyboarding, having fun today. And then from there, you know, getting a contract, and then starting to do the pro series, winning some contests on the pro tour locally in the USA.
Oh yeah.
So we had like a national tour, and so started to do that, and then I think I ended up becoming a national champ quite a few times on that tour, and then I think my first major one of the first major highlights was winning the pipe comp in 2006. I think that was just a huge highlight. I had already won a lot of contests.
That was you and Hardy, wasn't it? Was that when you head to head?
No, I think it was 2006. No, the first, I guess you're right, 2001 maybe was
right.
The pipe contest that I won. Maybe that was the first one. That was the first pipe contest that I'd won in 2001. And so that, growing up in Hawaii, we'd always see the pipe contest on TV, and so it'd be on you just turn on the television and be on ESPN or something. And so I remember seeing that as a Grom and just being so excited watching that. All these guys from all around the world, you'd see people from all around the world on there, and they'd kind of highlight them, and you'd always see like Mike would win most of them that you'd watch, and which would be really cool and be so inspiring. But then for me, it was always seeing it'd always be someone from Kauai that would somehow pop up on the on the TV randomly, and they'd be like, oh, Chris Burkhardt from Kauai, or Ross Asuncion from Kalaheo, somewhere on Kauai, someone from my island would be on there, and it'd be so inspiring. So you'd be like, oh, that's cool, like someone's there that's from where I'm from. You kind of, even though you're from Hawaii, it's kind of easier to relate when they're from your hometown, I guess. And so that was really cool to get inspired as a Grom. I got really inspired from that. And then I guess when I was able to finally win the contest, it was, the goal, since you're a little kid, to see that. So that was really, I think, impactful for me, and one of the most special wins for my career, for sure, is finally achieving that, because how that had gotten me from when I was a little kid to that first major point in my career of winning, achieving something so monumental to me. Sure. At that point. And so that was really special, that first Pipeline win, for sure. And I mean, is almost like winning the world title, for sure. I felt like those emotions, almost the same as when I won my first world title, because I think at that point I think I'd always wanted to be a world champ, but the Pipeline winning that was almost more important at that stage. And then I guess my next world title was probably the next one, 2006. That was the one I was battling Ryan all year, I think. Sure. So that was really cool. The first world title is always so special. And winning pipe again, I won that and the world title that same day. So that was really special.
Sure.
And so that was just a huge emotional
rush.
Charge.
Yeah.
And then so many moments.
Landed a 720, I remember. That's
when was that? Gosh, that might have been
probably 2010-ish, was it?
No, it was earlier.
Okay.
Yeah. Earlier. Yeah. So, but anyhow, landing a 720 was really cool. I remember trying to learn new tricks, doing new aerial maneuvers. When I was growing up, one of my first trips after graduating high school, I went to Tahiti and met Mike Stewart there on the same trip, doing something else like I was doing with my friends and family. And they were all doing a surf bodyboard trip for a magazine and videos and stuff, and they're all in the same plane flight. So I met all these guys, pro bodyboarders. So I knew who they were. So I was all excited, getting autographs and just super amped. And they're on the same ferry boat as us, traveling around to some of the other islands. It just happened to be that way. Yeah. So I really got to talk to them and get to know them, like Eppo and Lanson and Mike, and mostly Lanson and Eppo really, really nice to me. And then were able to talk to me really well.
Sure.
It's cool to learn from them. I mean, just they gave me the time of day, so that was really cool.
Brilliant. Nice. Good. Yeah. And then I remember you saying that Eppo inspired you with his aerial arsenal.
Yep, and so he did, being inspired, he'd learned, he did that ARS, and that was kind of changed the game. Oh man, everyone is on all the movies and all this stuff, to see someone do a new move, and then you're like, oh, you can get kind of famous doing new moves. So, you start to think, okay, well, if he's getting famous, I'll try to do that what can I do to be famous? I like that. I want some fame, or, that'll help me in my career of bodyboarding. Yeah. So you start to think in those kind of terms. And I remember, trying to come up with other ones, instantly it was like, oh, I'll just do the opposite, like a Air 360 to roll-o. And so, okay, I can, learn to do that, an Air 360 to roll. And then, maybe try to do an Air 360 to front flip, or just started to do all these variations, like a invert to reverse, and just trying playing with any kind of aerial maneuvers I could to try and like get it noticed by other people and get like more positivity to my career.
Sure. Perfect. Well, that's a super interesting career which has been littered with wins. So yeah, congratulations on that. Now, I remember speaking to you after your win at Pipeline, which secured the World Championship when you'd beaten Ryan Hardy, and I sort of discussed with you like your approach to that competition, and you said that you were surfing pipe in every condition, driving over. It's like an hour from where you live, and then you were driving over, and every day you'd be driving the car, and like you had those grip things, and you'd be like gripping your hands to make sure you had really strong hands so that you could land big airs. I envisage you probably had the Rocky music on the stereo at the same time. So probably. Yeah, I mean, going down that avenue, what sort of, I mean, we saw this morning when you did your stretch routine demonstrated what a freak you are in that respect. So what sort of training do you do to achieve such monumental bodyboarding standards? I think,
for me, the training regimen was, varied throughout my career. When I was I think really young, I was, I'll try and, do, run hills or whatever, and then maybe, I don't know, maybe more, always stretching was always incorporated every day. That was always a routine of mine that has never stopped. Like since day one of my bodyboarding career, I've just been really into stretching. But yeah, so maybe I was running hills some years, maybe when I was younger, then maybe swimming some years, maybe doing Bikram yoga some years, whatever I kind of had time to do and whatever I found like a cool outlet that I felt like was, making me healthier and making me fitter. Yeah. Nowadays it's just, lifting up my kids and running them around.
Natural weights.
Yeah, natural weights.
Yeah, classic. Okay, cool. Well, do you mind me asking how old you are?
No, yeah, 48.
48, yeah. So that must resonate with lots of us looking out at this room. We're all similar age. Yeah. So Jeff's still blowing up at this age, so it's achievable. So we're seeing Slater at Tahiti the other day, getting through heats, pushing for another comp win. He got knocked out in the quarters. Mike Stewart still doing events, pushing it. You're waiting for the Shark Island event to be called on so that you can fly over there and compete in that and be a real likely challenger to take the title. And you won Fronton only not that long ago, was it?
Yeah, a couple years ago. Yeah. 20.
Yeah. So it's perceived your body can only take so much of a pounding. I talked to you about it today and you were like, everything's kind of working still all right, which is good. Yeah. So how long do you feel as though you can keep bodyboarding at this, you're still leading the way with bodyboarding standards, do you know what I mean? Do you have any kind of aspirations to go into your 60s? I mean,
I love bodyboarding, so I don't want to stop doing it. No. That's for me the goal is like, how long can I just keep going out in the ocean every day and just enjoying it? I don't get to surf every day, so that's another key to I think longevity is like, that amp trying to keep you excited and hey, if you have access to go bodyboard or go do something every day, sometimes it wears off. Like, it's not as exciting anymore. It's just too easy, or you get jaded or whatever. But for me, there's been times where I can't always go. So it gets you more excited. I remember, I think in high school, I couldn't always go to the beach. So, those were like 4 years I was at a boarding school and only got to surf, really in the summers or here and there. So, most of the time when guys are growing up, that's like the main time they're at the beach is at high school. Like they're going to the beach all the time. Yeah. For me, I didn't get to go all the time. So when I got to college or whatever, I was trying to go as much as I could. And I think that, kind of pushed my career a little later. I started later than most other guys. And so I think it just, it's something I think I'll continue to do as long as I can. And I think being able to not go in the water as much as I want gives me a lot of drive. I'm still really keen to get in the water every day, but I can't. I'm just kind of stuck, stuck watching my kids, but I'm happy to do that. We all got to do it. It's like you're growing up with them. It's so it's something, you're enjoying that moment with them. And, but at the same time, if pipe's pumping, you'd be like, oh, I kind of would love to go get barreled right now. That'd be so sweet. But, it's going to be on the other side of that. Okay, in a couple of years, they're going to be in school and I'll have more time to go bodyboard pipe again. So
good.
You're kind of just, biding your time. I'll just stay fit enough and then I'll be able to go bodyboard every day again. So
brilliant.
It'll be fine.
Okay. The froth levels are still high.
Oh, super high.
Happy days. Good. So we're all about, at Bodyboard Holidays, we're all about sort of working with and promoting companies that promote bodyboarding and work with bodyboarders, and there's no better example of that than Hubboards. So do you want to talk to us about the journey that you've been through with creating your own brand and where it's got to today?
Yeah, having my own brand with my brother has been really, really special. We came off, a pretty, high careers, just being sponsored athletes with some pretty big brands, and that kind of ended pretty badly for us, where we didn't get paid for so long, and the companies kind of went under or whatever. So we're just like, okay, we'll just start our own. If we want to continue to do this, let's just do our own thing. And we knew we could find success. And I'd gone to school and had gotten my master's in the meantime while I was bodyboarding. So I had a business background, and so I knew kind of what to do and how to do it. And so I put all the pieces together and kind of organized the company, and it was just it's taken off. It's been really great for us. It's been fun just to create products that we love to use. That's just kind of how it goes. Like, okay, what do I want to use? So we'll make that so we can use it. That's
sure.
The whole impetus behind the brand is like, you're not making stuff for other people, really. You're making it for yourself, and then for sure other people are going to want to use it because it works. Like
straightforward concept.
Yeah, it's a pretty simple concept. Like, okay, if this works for me, if I have a leash that's going to last me 8 to 10 years at Pipeline, well, someone else is going to want that same leash.
Should last at Fistral, yeah?
Yeah, it should last at Fistral, exactly.
Sure. Good, so what's in the range? I mean, you've got epic boards. What else is there?
Gosh, yeah, we've been, developing lots of stuff. It's hard to, I was telling someone today, maybe it was, I forget who exactly I was talking to about it, but, you get to a point where you're just like, so, man, you don't want to create gimmicks. That's the whole thing. Is like, okay, you get to a point where, man, everything's working so good. What could I change? You're like, you're trying to think creatively of how you can improve the product, but you also don't want to take away from what's so good about it, right? So it's like, that's sometimes it becomes like I don't know. I guess you do get complacent if the board's just, I'm always flying to the moon. Do I need to go higher? I'm already flying. I can't feel like I can't get any higher, go any faster. So I mean, we have the Sci-5 channels, on my boards and Jerry's boards. So those are working those work amazing for us. They go faster. They create more lift. It's more looser and small waves. So it's kind of got everything. So it's like, that same board I ride at Fistral today, I ride it at Pipe. That's amazing. Just where I ride it everywhere. So I use the same thing everywhere I go, and it works great.
Sure. And how did you come up with that concept?
It was something I tried. Some of the 4-channel concepts, and you kind of have to wait for the manufacturing to catch up to it. So I was like, okay, the manufacturing was finally there where they could create these things on the bodyboards with the the certain kind of I guess the
templates.
It's like a CNC machine, CNC machine. So that's all wired towards bodyboarding. So the factory finally got that capability, and so they started designing these channel systems. And so I felt like, well, now I can create something like this that's going to work. So I did some R&D, testing some designs that were out there, and then I started fiddling with my own design of like this 5-channel system, trying to create the cavitation. Looking at all the surfboard shapers, talking to Pizel, and talk to him, and then talk to Wade Tokoro. Talking to those guys. I know them because they're always out surfing. So I hang out and talk to them about it, and they give me feedback on what was working for them, and I try to explain to on the bodyboard side of things, and so that was pretty helpful. And so it kind of I came up with this 5-channel system with you make it a lot lower. The channels are a lot set a little lower, so they don't go up so high as most of the other channel systems do.
Okay.
So you kind of have all your weight all your weight is centered at the on your stomach on the bodyboard. That's where most of your weight is.
Yeah.
So that's where you want your lift and cavitation to occur.
Sure.
And so that's how you're going to achieve higher speeds, is where that cavitation comes, and you'll get that lift on the bottom. That's why those 5 channels work.
Nice. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Really good to hear so much goes into it, because you do look at board brands and think, is this just something else that someone's added? Do you know what I mean? But that's great to hear that there's, research gone into it and experimentation, and then it comes through. So, everybody, I couldn't push it enough to support brands like Hubboards that are supporting bodyboarding and putting back into sport. Jeff sponsored that, or Hubboards has sponsored the Shark Island comp, and you support a big team. So. So that kind of leads on to yours and Dave, so your brother Dave Hubbard, Dub. you know, one of the most incredible bodyboards in the world as well. So he has a role in what I was chatting to you about earlier on. So you're kind of running the businessy side, and he's on the world tour and sort of running the team and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, we have our designated roles for sure, which is great. You know, it's a best way to keep everyone happy is, you know, play to your strengths and what you like to do. Right?
Yeah.
Like I don't think he wants to do what I'm doing, and I don't really want to do what he's doing.
Sure,
That's
sure.
Good.
Yeah, yeah. Perfect. And then he can feed back to you about products, and you can generate them together as well. So, yeah, it's a really organic process, isn't it? That's kind of
it's a nice you know, symbiosis. And you know, we have Jerry in there as well. Like we're always feeding ideas off. You know, it's like I'll just message him and Dave, you know, and kind of go over what I'm doing with, you know, products and stuff, and they're giving me instant feedback all the time.
Brilliant, brilliant. That's good. Okay, cool. So a really hot topic that's come out of a lot of the sort of Instagram and social media sort of feedback that we've had is all about the World Tour, and Dave's on the World Tour, isn't he? And really pushing it on there and like pushing for a title this year, and surfing incredibly. So the World Tour, you know, it seems to get a lot of bad press from time to time, and I think the IBC are, you know, doing a task which is pretty much a thankless task. You know, no one really makes loads of money out of it. They kind of do it to support the sport, and there's lots of keyboard warriors that give them a load of hassle. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But you've seen the World Tour change in different sort of iterations over the last 10 years or 20 years. So what's your feelings about the World Tour and the way it's moving at the moment?
I think you're right. It's a thankless task for sure. You know, no matter who's running it, you're always going to get critics, and it's one of those things. Is hey, we're lucky to have contests. That's kind of the way I kind of look at it. Like, hey, there's someone putting on a contest, you know, and sure, the promoter, and usually it's the promoter, and they're hopefully making some money, so they do it again. Like, so you're hoping that there's, you know, some reason for them to put on this contest, not just, you know, for the love of it, right? Because that would get a little old after a while. So you're hoping that they're making some money and it's going to continue, right? We all want contests. It'd be a bummer if there was none.
Sure.
So, I mean, I think I'm happy they got something going. I'm really stoked that there's something there. And hey, there's always problems, and I think it's one of those things is that can't always be solved as easily as you'd think. Like I always think I could solve that problem, but maybe I couldn't. Yeah. Right? You don't know until you're there.
Totally. Yeah. Everyone's got an opinion, haven't they? But until they're willing to step forward and actually assist, then there's not really any value in their opinion, is there? Perhaps. But yeah, okay, cool. Well, at least we've got a World Tour. Do you know what I mean? And it's moving in the right direction. I think people are fighting the right fight to make it happen. And without a World Tour, then the bodyboard team would definitely be in a negative situation, wouldn't it? So yeah, all the best to Dave to do well on the World Tour this year and push it. But yeah, so moving on to something I'm super interested in is, and I know that others are, like Pipeline. You're surfing it all the time, yeah? I see your Instagram. Seems as though you say you miss swells, but it seems as though you're on every 12 to me. And you know, it's such a ferocious reputation for not just the waves, but also the lineup. So how do you feel you kind of exist in the pecking order at Pipeline? And who, like when you paddle out there, sorry to pull this one on you, I didn't mention it to you before, but when you paddle out there, who's the person that's always going to get waves and you kind of have to have waves, or is there not someone like that? And where do you sit in that pack?
It's different. I feel my reputation out there and my relationship with that wave is in how I approach it is, you know, it's probably pretty unique because every time I go out there, I'm just trying to catch as many waves as I can, you know, and I feel like that's my strategy. It's like, you know, I probably should go at it a lot differently and just, you know, try and go quality is quantity, but I'm almost like the opposite, like quantity is quality. I'll get, you know, if I'm out there surfing pipe, you know, I'm going to get barreled on most of my waves. I'm going to have fun, and I'm not always looking for like the best wave of the day, because I guess, you know, you could wait out there for 5 hours and still might not catch it. Like the one guy who, you know, he's on a bodyboard, it's a little harder because it's hard to paddle, be farther out than the surfer who's on a little bit bigger board.
Sure. And
so to be out there in that position, to be outside of them, to grab the priority, like, so I could be there, but it'd be hard to like catch the wave in the right spot, I feel like.
Sure.
And being under them, I feel like, you're sitting underneath them, so they gain a little bit of priority advantage just because they're out there, even though we're all, hey, one of us say you're like, okay, Jamie and me and, John are all sitting next to each other. It's like, well, whoever's got the better paddling power and that is going to be able to get that wave, right? Like, and you're trying to jockey and get in position. It's a little bit edgy.
Sure.
So it's like, that's where I feel like I kind of move a little bit around the crowd out there and just try and position myself to get certain waves.
Sure.
And as many waves as I can.
Yeah.
Where, depending on who's out there, it just depends who's out there, who's going right, who's going left, what the waves are each day. You kind of just, you're out there just making it happen. And because there's so many kids and really good guys out there, and they're all spread out throughout the whole lineup. And so if you know what everyone's doing and you have a good idea, a better chance of catching the waves and catching a good one.
Sure.
So it's a tricky one, because it's not like, oh, I'm going to just paddle out there, get my priority, and wait for my good one and go. There's just so many variables, because there's like 100 guys out there. Who's going to know who has priority?
Sure. Yeah.
It's different.
Well, you've given your strategy away now, so other people are going to have to do that now. So, but yeah, no, that all makes sense for sure. So, Pipeline, I don't want to put words into your mouth, but I guess Pipeline's your favourite wave.
Yeah, definitely.
What could you list your top 5 waves in the world and why?
Oof. Yeah, I mean, Pipeline's number 1. I guess I really like.
Fistral?
Fistral's right number 2.
Yeah.
Easily. I have a lot of waves up. There's some really fun waves on Kauai back home where I grew up that you're probably real close to my heart, that are just really great bodyboard waves and really fun, and that are really good. But I guess it's no one really knows them, so why even name them? I guess Honolulu Bay is one of my favorite waves, I guess, and there's another wave on Maui called Ledges. That's a really good one.
Oh yeah.
That's a really, really great wave for bodyboarding that I like going to but it breaks every couple years really good, so it's hard to get. Honolulu Bay, it's really crowded, but it's really great. That's one of my favorite waves. Just probably because I can go fly so high in the air there. It's a really good air bowl on the inside, and just good barrels too, but just a great bodyboard wave. And then you got Chopu, Shark Island, you got all these waves. Fronton.
Sure.
Fronton's an amazing wave. Nungin in Australia. I mean, there's a lot of really amazing bodyboard waves all around the world, and it's hard to pick my favorite for sure. But I guess Fronton would be up there, pretty high. It's pretty special.
Good. Okay, cool. And now on that same theme, who would be your top 5 bodyboards in the world and why?
Oof. The guys who are having the most fun are always, some of the best guys to watch. And I think my brother, he's always having so much fun. So I always kind of put him up there. I like watching Jerry surf, obviously. So, those are 2 guys that I would have up there. The rest of the guys, I think I like watching. It's kind of in certain waves, right? There's certain waves you like watching certain riders. You wouldn't pick my favorite rider. Your favorite rider to watch at Fronton's definitely different than your favorite rider to watch at Fistral,
sure.
For example, right?
Yeah.
Some guys are will really like watching him at certain waves. So Tanner at Wedge, I love watching him at Wedge. That's a left-hander. He's just so great out there, so entertaining. Then you're watching Hardy at the box or something. That's that's just perfect. That's just a match made in heaven, right?
Yeah.
So I kind of go at those kind of things, where else, Maury at Fronton, those guys at certain waves are just really special to watch and really enjoyable.
Sure. Perfect. Okay, that's a good answer. Thank you. So we put it out on our social media, on our Facebook, and our YouTube, and our Instagram, and asked our followers to come up with some questions for you. So I'm going to move on to some of them now. We had a really good response from the crew from the Bristol Bodyboard Club, and one of those guys is in the room. Well, a bunch of those guys are in the room tonight, but one of them is Brad Mansfield. So, hey, Brad, you're out there somewhere. So, his question was, how did you and your brother come about with the idea initially of starting Hubboards? Were you obviously in a kind of situation where you would kind of finish your pro deal, and then I imagine you had the opportunity to become a rider for someone else, did you, at that time? But you just wanted to go your own pathway.
Yeah, no, I had a business plan when I was doing college, already lined up and already planned out. I had this idea for ages. I mean, and I think of doing a bodyboard brand and how to do it and what to do successfully. And then it all happened where my brother didn't have a sponsor at the same time, and then, you know, the name, I had someone else had mentioned a name a while ago. You know, Mike Electronic had mentioned this weird name to me once, and it was like Hubboarding or something, and I was like, oh, Hubboards, okay, I'm gonna keep that. So I kind of knew what to call it at that stage. So it was a real easy change. It just was, you know, just a natural occurring thing that was going to happen at that stage. There was no questions on what we were doing, when we were doing it. Like, okay, this ended, okay, it's time. Let's do this, plug and play.
Nice.
Let's make it happen.
Good commitment. So next one's from Andre Ferrara, and it's kind of on track with what you were talking about. What is, if you can release it, what is the next big board innovation, do you think? You know, where can you see you taking Hubboards and the design concept with them? Anything in the pipeline that you're
I think, you know, for bodyboards, it's, you know, it comes down to like what, you know, the quality of, you know, materials you got available to you from, you know, at the manufacturing standpoint, and how you can, you know, what is new that's coming out from that is available at the factory use. And at the moment, you know, they're always, you know, they source the best materials out there. The best Surlyn, the best slicks, and I mean, the best, you know, decking materials. So it's like, you know, really good quality core. So it's, you know, it's hard to like figure out like, okay, you know, you always think like, okay, maybe I want a whole carbon fiber bodyboard or this or that. You know, you start to think of these things, but then, you know, it's always like, okay, cost comes into effect. How do I source this stuff? How do I do that? Everything's really compartmentalized. Like, okay, it's not as easy as you'd think to come up with something totally groundbreaking. You could do it, but it might cost you $1 million, and who's going to buy it like for a boogie board? So you're like, okay, you know, it's like, it's one of those things. It's gonna take its time. It'll get there, but it you know, thinking outside the box so much, you can think of it, but putting it into making it come to reality is a little harder than what your imagination can come up with.
Sure. Well, you've been pretty innovative with your range at the moment, so yeah, keep it up. So next one's from Rob Hardiman, who's here tonight as well, was in the walk with us today. So this is something that seems to get bandied around with bodyboarding all the time. So how do you see the health of the sport compared to when you first started bodyboarding? From the viewpoint of being both a rider and a businessman, bodyboarding businessman?
I think the health of the, you know, bodyboarding, you know, it's great. I mean, I'm not, I see a lot of people having fun still bodyboarding in Hawaii. There's tons of kids bodyboarding. It's, you know, it's really popular with a lot of young kids coming up, so that it seems really healthy where I'm from. You know, we do a lot of contests for the kids over there, so we put on, you know, there's a lot of people that making stuff happen there, and that it's probably a reason why there's a lot of kids and a lot of, you know, adults, you know, of all ages doing it. You know, you see older guys, younger guys. There's a nice range all in Hawaii, and I think so I can't really speak for where I'm not at. Like, you know, I come here and there's, you know, a room full of wonderful people who all love bodyboarding. So it's, you know, it seems healthy here. Like, that's awesome. Like, you know, we're here in Newquay, and there's a bunch of, you know, rad bodyboarders who love it. So that's, you know, it seems like it's healthy. There's a, you know, it's healthy, and there's a, you know, passionate community. You know, it might not be the hugest community, but we have a passionate community that's really hardcore, which is, you know, really special. So I'm pretty psyched on, you know, what we got as far as the, you know, bodyboard community around the world. You know, where I've been, I see that same vibe. People willing to like do things and step up and create platforms for people to have experiences bodyboarding wherever they go.
Sure.
That's good.
Cool. Yeah. No, it all goes in cycles, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And it's sometimes super popular, and sometimes not so popular, but it always keeps on going. You know what I mean? So the hardcore are always going to keep it alive, and you know, it's super popular still in pockets around the world, isn't it? Which is kind of making it a core sport. You know?
Yeah, it's a hardcore sport. Yeah, it's not for the faint of heart. That's what's great. It's not, you know, bodyboarding for just, you know, core people who love to do it. It's not like people are out there doing it for money. That's, you know, or fame really, and you know, you're doing it because you love getting in the ocean, and love hanging with your friends, and love just you know, being out there, you know, trying to better yourself or be healthy, like getting exercise or whatever it is. You're out there doing it for your own reasons, and it's great.
Totally. Cool. So from our Instagram following, a chap called Dan Ruffton has asked the question, what is your worst injury and how did you overcome it both physically and mentally?
Ooh, I think, I mean, my worst injury, I feel it was, I, you know, broke my back on a small wave at Sandy Beach. I like wrapped my, you know, hit a rock and like, you know, broke some of the transverse processors and a few ribs. And I remember just wanting to come back. I think this was 2010, I feel like, or it must have been 2010, and so I recovered pretty quick. Maybe 6 to 8 weeks I was back in the water, and I think maybe like 9 weeks later I won Fronton.
No way.
Yeah.
No way.
So I was pretty amped.
Bounce
it was
back.
like, yeah, you miss an event, and but you just come back stronger. You try and you can't bodyboard for a certain amount of time, but you try and find other activities. Swimming, just trying to do whatever you can when you're that you can do to get healthy and stay healthy and mentally positive.
Sure. So other than overcoming, rehab with an injury, what is your general training regime? That you sort of did when you were on the pro circuit. Like, I know you used to do Bikram yoga,
yeah.
but did you used to beast yourself in other ways, or was it mainly just surf?
It was mainly surf.
Okay, cool.
I just, I try and bodyboard as much as I can, and that's my, my healthy routines, or maybe unhealthy habit is just trying to, just get in the water as much as I can and stay out for 8 hours, 10-hour session. I think I had the longest session I had was over 8 hours in one time.
No way.
Yeah, I think I had my friend paddle me out a banana.
Where was that?
It was at Ledges on Maui.
Really?
I was just out there, and it was overcast, windy. It'd probably be like a day out here, except the cold level wasn't, you're just in a spring suit or something, but cold and rainy all day, but just amazing waves just all day, just firing. And I was like, I'm not getting out of the water. I'm here. I am staying out here as long as I can. As long as I can paddle, I'm out, staying out.
Epic.
And so I stayed out for 9 hours.
No way.
It was awesome.
That's a true friend delivering a banana.
Yeah, I asked him because he was out for a while, and he's like, I'm going in. I was like, okay, when you come back out, I'll still be here. Just bring me whatever food you can bring me. I'm not leaving. And it's not like it was a far paddle in. You just have to go in to go over the rocks. I could have gone in 15 minutes and been right back out, but
classic.
I wasn't getting out.
That's so good. Okay, cool. So Jacob, Juliana, who's here. So we've kind of touched on this already, but how have you maintained longevity in terms of performance whilst most riders peak in their mid-20s? You continue to push the boundaries in your later 40s.
Yeah, I think we talked about that in most of it. Yeah, I do a lot of stretching, and I'm not able, I don't surf as much. So, and when you're older, it takes longer to recover. So, that is one thing that's, you go for a 6-hour, 8-hour day at Pipeline, and, it's going to take, I might not be able to surf the next day.
Right.
It is a little more taxing than it used to be. After 2 days of that, I'm toast. I'm out for 3 days if I push surf a mega session at Pipeline for 2 days straight at 6 to 8 foot pipe.
Sure.
It'll tax me. So it's when you're younger, you can bounce back really quick. That wouldn't have even been an issue. And now I'm like, oh man, I am so sore.
Yeah, need to rest up.
I gotta take a break.
Yeah.
So even though you don't want to, but you're forced.
For sure.
Forced to.
Choosing your sessions wisely.
Yeah,
and
choose your sessions a little wiser, yeah.
Okay, well that's a good takeaway, yeah. Okay, so you said that you use the same board in all conditions. Mm-hmm. What are your board dimensions? And why have you chosen them? How have you worked them out? Because that's something that people wanting to order custom boards, for example, and they're like, I don't know how to begin that process, sort of thing. So how have you kind of whittled it down to what you like? Because you say you use it in all conditions, it must be pretty rounded template. Yeah,
it comes down to what kind of template you like. I like a little curve in my template. I was telling Damien today, I enjoy a lot of curves, so I get more maneuverability out of it. You get straight templates that are a little bit faster, or narrow templates, that are maybe better for bigger waves. But the template I have is a little wider, little rounder, so it's just easier to do maneuvers, and it has more, it's more forgiving. You can do a maneuver anywhere on the wave, and so that's kind of, I pick base my template on how I want my riding to be, or how I like to ride, and so that's one thing to consider. My height and weight have a big factor in my dimensions. I use a 40.5 board, because I'm only 145 pounds, I guess you'd say, and then 5'9", so even though I'm a little taller than a 40.5 would be normally, I'm pretty light, so it averages out. Weight has a lot more to do with it than height, I think, as far as board size. Sure. And so I use a bat tail, which also gives me a little bit more volume there. So trying to think, I guess one thing I like to do with this year I was using a little bit more of a flexible board at Pipeline, so I was using my quad core with an NRG form. So we were using the, we called it a quad core flex or a cold core. So I was using that at Pipe all season, and that, I use that in the cold water as well. But it has a little more flex to it, so it was nicer and more forgiving on the drops and easier to hold your line, and bigger, heavier, bumpier surf or boldier surf. So that was really nice to to try this year. So at Pipe, it was cool.
Yeah. We recently did an interview with Jay Reel from Bodyboarding, and he kind of shared his in-depth knowledge about boards and board sizes for one of our YouTube instructional videos, and he came up with some really interesting comments and observations about higher volume boards for bodyboarders, particularly that are coming back to the sport. Maybe you've ridden a board of a certain size, possibly something like this when you're younger, and then there's a lot of people that have this like hiatus from bodyboarding, and then they come back to it, maybe induced by the pandemic. A lot of people picked it back up then, and he said that he's created, he sort of found that some of the bodyboarders are better going on boards that are higher volume and that are more forgiving, give you that extra push when you've got waves that aren't perhaps top to bottom, So I think it's really critical that bodyboarders choose the board that's realistically good for them, isn't it? That's going to supply them with that buoyancy and volume in order for them to get good waves in the conditions that they're going to be surfing in. So it's good to hear that you've whittled it down to something that works at Pipeline and also 1 foot fistral, Like
I have I use this board, the same board when I take my daughter out in waves that are similar to fistral. Today, I'll take her out, and I actually prefer using my board than like a higher volume board. I have a 41 Howley board that we make for and it's a high volume board in it. I'll go use that, but I feel like I can surf way better on my board than the Howley board, even though the Howley board is way more volume.
Sure.
Twice as much volume almost, and it's enjoyable. Maybe I can catch the wave easier and I could go a little bit longer, but I feel like I can do better moves on my board.
Sure.
And I feel like maybe it's just because of the it's the shape and the it is thinner, but I actually can engage the rail easier.
Sure.
Right. I can really push in and give a good hard turn.
Sure. And
really do that a little easier than I can on the high volume board. I mean, it'd probably be similar surfing on a high performance short board or versus a mid-length or something like that for people. It's easier to ride, but maybe to do the moves I want, you got to have a higher performance board.
Yeah.
So it's like a give and take. It's like what you're out there trying to achieve. I think it's different for everyone else. If you're just trying to cruise by, then maybe a higher volume board is better because you can just kind of float through the waves easier.
Sure.
And you want more flex, so it's just more comfortable to ride. And you don't want as much. You don't need a super stiff board, or you want a super stiff board because you want to try do all these moves in these smaller conditions or something.
Sure. Okay. Well, to say that Jeff takes his equipment seriously would be an understatement. Today when we walked down the beach, he got his bodyboard when we were waiting on the sand doing our warm-up, and he put it in like a little pool of water that was on next to us on the beach, just because he didn't want it to get too hot before he went bodyboarding. So he didn't want his board to get too hot, so he wanted it to stay cool. Yeah. And then we were talking about how he never used to carry his fins through the heel strap because he didn't want them to expand. He didn't want them to stretch out. So yeah, I mean, these small margins are what make 3-time world champions. So think about those things, guys. So, okay, so Lou the Sapper, he asked us, what's your scariest ever moment in the ocean?
Scariest moment in the ocean?
Yeah.
Gosh, I think probably, in the ocean, I guess being caught inside and really big waves is pretty intense. I think I got caught inside it, some giant waves at on Oahu at Phantoms before. I think that was very scary for me. It's like 20 footers coming in, and you're really scared what's going to happen. And then I think it's not so much catching the wave that's scary. It's almost the anticipation of the waves coming at you and knowing a wipeout's going to occur, like when you're duck diving. That's kind of the scariest moments for me. I think when you're caught inside, that's where the kind of the fear builds up. Because you're going to get pounded. So what's going to happen? Yeah. It's unknown.
Totally. Good. Okay, and what would be your strategy for staying calm? Any tips for?
Yeah, staying calm is that's hard. Just breathing and trying to laugh. I think if you can just try and chuckle to yourself and try and, oh, this is so funny. Oh, haha. Oh man, again, I'm getting caught inside again. Just trying to calm yourself down. And if you can turn your brain away from the fear and just just relax, go with it, you'll be a lot more successful in surviving it for sure.
Cool. No, it makes sense, doesn't it? Preserves your oxygen as well. So Ryan Bennett, who's here tonight, he's got a critical question that we have to cover. It's, have you tried a pasty yet? And what's your verdict?
A Cornish pasty, I don't know if, I think I must have tried one.
Yeah.
I'm sure I've tried one, and I'm probably like.
You'd know if you had.
I would know. It's not a sausage roll, right? It's not a meat pie. It's a Cornish
roll,
pasty. Like, maybe I haven't. I can't recall.
Well, let's rectify that.
I mean, I've been watching the British baking show, so I mean, you'd think I would know what a pasty is.
In Cornwall, pastry.
Yeah.
Pasty.
Pasty.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So Stephen Fairbairn asked, can you bring no friends back?
Oh gosh, I would love to, but I think it's for me. I've already got so much on with Hubboards. It's hard to imagine trying to do another brand at the moment. Sure. But it would sure be fun. I mean, I think the fun with that would just be doing making movies. I guess that was the most fun with the no friends thing. Anyone can make a T-shirt, but it's all doing movies with your friends again. That would be tops. I'd love to do that.
Such a golden era for all of us, for sure.
Yeah.
So I've got some quick fire questions for you, and then I'm going to take some questions from the floor. So in a minute, I'll ask for a show of hands for anyone who's got one. So now's the time to have a think about it. So quick fire questions. So how long did it take you to readjust to Dave's face after he shaved his beard off?
Quite a while now, and I still people always talk, when they talk about Dave, they always talk about him with his beard, and like everyone has these concept of him with his beard. I think it's pretty funny that's how they see him, even though he doesn't have a beard anymore. They just imagine him with one.
Totally. Good. And then why didn't you bring Dave with you? Some of the drop nears out here, and the rest of the crew.
Yeah, I'm sure he'd love to be here, but he's in Brazil competing. He's kind of focuses here on trying to do the world tour. So
fair enough.
Yeah, he'd love to be here though. That's for sure.
Maybe next time. Cool.
Yeah.
He came over before actually, didn't he?
Yeah.
What's your favourite post-surf snack?
Oof, man, I'm pretty partial to getting some cookies. I like a good cookie. That's a good recharge. But I guess if I'm gonna go surf again, maybe a little acai bowl. That's not a bad one. That's pretty good. Acai bowl's nice, or a little poke bowl.
Sure.
Pizza, like fresh fish.
Okay, keeping on the food theme, do Hawaiians eat Hawaiian pizzas?
Yeah. They do. They're delicious.
Yeah. Okay, who's your favourite punk band?
Probably Pennywise.
Nice, yeah. If your kids wanted to stand-up surf, would you try and convince them to bodyboard instead?
I've done a good job of convincing my daughter to bodyboard. She's scared of stand-up surfing, and even though I tell her, try and get her, you want to do that? I offer it to her all the time. You want to do that? I think I've already scared her straight into bodyboarding. I love it.
Good technique. Good technique. Okay, you can't sit on the fence with this one. You've got to answer. Who's the best bodyboarder out of you and Dave?
I think I've told her, my daughter says it's him because he's won 10 world titles and I've only won 3.
Classic.
So I don't think there's I think I'm losing that one.
No worries. Okay, cool. So just looking out at the crew here, has anybody got any questions for Dave that they haven't shared with social media already? Pardon?
Dave. His name's Jeff.
Oh, sorry, Jeff. Yeah. Sorry.
Parents all the time.
Yeah. So, any questions for Jeff?
Repeat the question as well. When they ask the question, can you repeat?
Oh, yeah. Go for it.
What's the hardest contest you've ever done?
So he asked, what's the hardest contest you've ever done?
Oh, contest. Oof, that's a good one. There's been some challenging contests. I'm trying to think. I mean, it'd have to be maybe one of the pipe contests, really big and kind of out of control. That would have been really scary. Fronton was probably really scary. Fronton was pretty big and wild. That was a pretty hectic one, just kind of duck diving those huge sets and not wanting to catch the sets. Like, okay, I don't want to catch these sets. And they usually run it when it's kind of big and scary, so you're always out there. So, Shark Island, maybe the 2001 one, that was gnarly. That was just kind of psycho. Just seemed like dry reef. Just like remember doing an air onto dry reef. Yeah, that was pretty nuts. contest for sure, because you kind of had to go. You felt like, okay, I guess I'm going. You don't know quite what's gonna happen at Shark Island when you take off, because you don't know what the end bowl is gonna do. So that was probably the scariest one.
Good stuff. Thank you. Any more questions? Over to the right there, Steve.
It's actually from my daughter. It's kind of what you were touching on before. She asked, can you ask him why he chooses to do bodyboarding over surfing? Because he's from Hawaii.
Good question. So Steve asked, why do you choose?
Oh, and she's chosen bodyboarding over surfing despite doing both because she thinks it's more fun.
Good girl.
Yeah.
So Steve's
Brilliant.
daughter has chosen to do bodyboarding over surfing, having tried both. Why did you choose bodyboarding over surfing?
I think it was my peer group at the time. My friends were mostly bodyboarding, and I had tried surfing, and I think I sucked at it and didn't like it. So I was like, man, I'm just going back to bodyboarding, probably, honestly. But my friends are all bodyboarding, so I mean, if my friends were surfing, maybe I would have kept going in surfing. But my friends are all bodyboarding, so I just stuck with that, and that's where we're at.
Makes sense. Cool. Final question from anybody? We covered it all? Okay, perfect. So, was there a question there? Oh,
As a slightly average hobby bodyboarder, have you ever fancy giving a shout out on your social media to RB Bodyboard on YouTube? That'd be fantastic.
RB bodyboarding?
Yeah, man.
RB bodyboarding. Let's do it.
Classic.
Love it.
Good work. Good. Okay, cool. So Jeff very kindly donated this bodyboard, which is used at Pipeline, and we put it up as a prize for a question that we put out on our Instagram channel, and we need to choose the winner.
Okay, to choose a winner.
So we
choosing it now?
Yeah, so we chose the winner.
Oh, good.
And the winner is here tonight. So without further ado, we're going to get that gentleman up here and give him a round of applause, and that is Jacob Juliana.
Oh wow! Yeah, you go. Stoked. That's awesome.
Congratulations, mate.
That's awesome.
No worries.
Oh, stoked, Jacob.
Thank you, Jeff.
Perfect size board for you.
Yeah, cheers.
Psyched. Stoked. He won.
Cheers. Cool.
Psyched.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
Perfect.
get to shredding it
Acrostic
tomorrow.
poem takes the day.
Exactly. Yeah, it worked. Yeah. Okay, cool. Thanks very much. So yeah, the night doesn't end here, but the questions do. So Jeff is going to be hanging out here. You're welcome to come up and have your photo taken with him, chat to him, and we've got some posters and pens to get signatures for you to take home with you. So if you could come up one at a time or a couple at a time and see Jeff, that'd be excellent. But without further ado, on behalf of myself at Bodyboard Holidays, Jeff from Hubboards, thank you so much for coming to us. Thanks so much to my team, Damien, Alex, Wazza, Chris, the whole gang for helping put this together. And we're looking forward to another day of epic waves tomorrow.
Psyche.
So yeah, no, thank you, Jeff. Epic
Thanks, man.
times.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me, everyone. Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me. It's an honor to be here.
Thank you.
Cheers. Thanks.
Yeah,
This is great.